Tonight's debate is supposed to be about which system is better for society, Christian nationalism versus secularism. But let's be honest about what's really on the table here. We're comparing two fundamentally different ways of answering one question. Who or what gets to decide what's right and wrong? The most common form of secular ethics would be secular humanism, which I'm fairly certain that Peterson here adheres to. And it gives a very confident answer about who gets to decide what's right versus wrong. We do. Human reason, value, consensus. Sounds nice, and it sounds enlightened, and it sounds progressive. But when you slow it down for half a second, you realize how ridiculous it becomes immediately. Because now the question becomes, which humans? The rational ones? The majority? The loudest voices? Or the ones with the power? We're being told that the same species that lies, cheats, and manipulates and exploits, and throughout history has justified just about every atrocity that you can imagine, should be trusted as the final authority on what is or is not moral. That's not a solution. That's the problem, rebranded as a system. Humanism talks a lot about values, dignity, equality, democracy. But here's what it doesn't give. It doesn't give us a reason to actually value those things at all. It just kind of assumes them, and then it asserts them. Because we prefer those, don't you know that? But it actually can't explain why anyone is obligated to follow them, especially when it's inconvenient. If morality comes from human judgment, then morality changes when human judgment changes. If morality comes from consensus, well, then the consensus can justify anything. If morality comes from what we collectively value, then someone else can simply value something different. Now you don't have any moral disagreement. You just have a power struggle. Here's the part that never gets said out loud. If your system can't tell me why I shouldn't pursue my own advantages at your expense, it actually can't give me a reason that goes beyond preference or social pressure, then it hasn't actually grounded morality. It's just describing a temporary agreement. Now, for the sake of this debate, I'll actually just grant that Christianity's false, that we made it all up. But if that's the case, then Peterson can't blame God for the atrocities of the Bible he doesn't like, because God's a fantasy. All the bad stuff that these Christians did, well, that wasn't God's fault. It was humans who did this with their morality, which is inherent to them. These sound to me like dangerous creatures that need to be stopped immediately. They grape and murder and enslave each other, and want to put these beasts in a democracy and let them vote? Brilliant fucking plan there. Now let's contrast that with the Christian framework. Christianity doesn't say we decide what's good. It says we don't. Moral authority is not located in human beings. It's above them. It's fixed. It does not change when public opinion changes. It doesn't bend when power shifts, and it does not disappear when it becomes inconvenient. And that matters because human beings need constraints. Not suggestions, not evolving preferences, constraints. Because left to ourselves, we don't just disagree. We dominate, we rationalize, and we justify what benefits us. Now, my opponent will likely point to abuses done in the name of Christianity, and I won't deny that they exist. But here's the key point. A system with a higher standard allows you to say those actions were wrong, even when the people committing them thought they were right. A system grounded in human judgment doesn't give you that. It just gives you a different group of humans making different decisions. So the choice tonight is not between religion and reason. It's between a system where flawed humans are the highest authority and a system that puts those same humans under a standard that they don't get to control. If you think human beings are wise enough, consistent enough, and selfless enough to be trusted with ultimate moral authority, then humanism might sound appealing. But if you think human beings are exactly what history shows them to be, capable of absolute destruction of any kind of civilization that they get their hands on.
1 minute.
Then building a society that limits human authority instead of glorifying it is not just preferable. It's actually necessary. This is why, even setting aside the questions of the ultimate truth, the Christian framework is still a stronger, more realistic, and better foundation for a society than humanism will ever be. With that, I'll see the rest of my time.
All righty. Thank you so much. Now, Planet Peterson, you can start your opener right now.
Thank you very much. I just want to point out, hopefully, my opponent didn't make the case for Christianity at all. He just asserted that his beliefs come from like the ultimate source. That's not making the case. That's just claiming I'm right and I win because what I believe in is true because I say so. So anyways, I'll make the case for secularism. Secular humanism is the idea that human reason, empathy, and scientific inquiry are the best tools we have for understanding the world and improving the human condition. This isn't some radical or untested philosophy. It's the foundation of the modern world that we live in. The core principles of secular humanism were shaped during the Enlightenment by thinkers like John Locke, David Hume, Montesquieu, and Voltaire, many of which actually believed in God. They argued that government should derive their authority from human consent, not from a divine mandate, and that moral truths can be discovered through reason, human nature, and shared experience. Those ideas gave rise to the political systems we now take for granted, such as democracy, individual rights, freedom of speech, and religious liberty. These aren't accidents. They're the direct result of a worldview that places human beings, not institutions, not traditions, not authority, at the center of moral concern. And I would argue a lot of thought went into this as well. At its heart, secular humanism is about human dignity. It starts from basic recognition that all people have the capacity to suffer, flourish, to think, and to make choices. So from that, it builds an ethical system grounded in empathy, reciprocity, and many other things. If I value my own well-being, I cannot logically deny yours as equally valid and valuable. This is a key tool that secularism uses that Christian nationalism doesn't, which is what we call reason. If the Christian nationalist wants to argue that reason is insufficient, then they have to appeal to reason to explain why. These principles allow diverse societies to function peacefully. It creates a shared moral framework that doesn't require agreement on religion, identity, or worldview. Christians have never flourished as they do under our current secular government, and nobody has ever killed or oppressed Christians more than other Christians in the name of Christianity, ironically. Another strength of secular humanism is that it's committed to reason and evidence. It recognizes that we are fallible and our intuitions can be wrong, and that the best way to correct ourselves and evolve with a changing world is through open inquiry and testing ideas and changing our mind and changing our systems if need be. Secular, well, I have some stuff about science, but, we're running short. Equally important to secular humanism's other commitments is pluralism. In a secular framework, people are free to believe what they want and worship how they want. Stillborn gets all of his religious liberty that he wants under my worldview. And all this comes with freedom and without coercion. This creates a society where ideas compete peacefully rather than through force. Christian nationalism has no way to permit religious freedom, even for other Christians. The only thing it can do is claim that whoever's advocating for it is that their denomination is the only true one, so anyone who isn't a member perhaps isn't even a Christian. And historically, that kind of framework has proven to be the most stable way to organize diverse populations, the secular humanist one, that is.
1 minute.
When the state remains neutral on matters of beliefs, it protects everyone, religious and non-religious alike, and it allows communities to coexist without one imposing itself on the other. Secular humanism also recognizes the importance of compassion at scale. While individual charity is valuable, modern societies require systems that ensure people aren't left behind, like access to healthcare, education, and basic security. You can find support for many of those things in the words of Jesus, but Christians underperform in every one of these categories and overwhelmingly align themselves politically with stances that maximize suffering for the poor and marginalized. And finally, secular humanism is forward-looking. It asks not just what is true, but what kind of world we want to build. It encourages us to reduce suffering where we can, expand opportunities, and use our growing knowledge to improve the lives of future generations. It does not claim perfection. It doesn't claim certainty. What it offers is something more practical, a framework that allows us to work together across differences using the best tools we have. And I had about 10 more words, but whatever. We'll end it there.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. And now Steelborn, you're going to do a 5-minute rebuttal attack specifically against his position. And then after that, you're going to do the same. Peterson, Steelborn, you can start now.
Okay, so he says, well, I didn't give a justification for my system in my opening. Well, by his standard, I don't have to. I just prefer that, right? And if enough people prefer it, well, then that's what we can do, and it's totally fine. Secondly, I'm trying to read my own handwriting now. That sucks. It's hard to do. All right, so number 2, human dignity. So secular humanism affirms that all humans have dignity, except it can't tell me why. Because we look into if it's going just based off of our human reason, right, and our observations, well, we can observe that humans aren't equal at fucking almost anything. None of them are equal with each other, right? Men aren't equal to women as far as as far as you could do with observation. Right? Some people are smarter, some people are dumber, some people are taller, some people are stronger, right? There's all kinds of inequalities throughout the world. So why should we affirm that everybody has universal human dignity? Number 3, if I value, according to Peterson, if he values his life, he couldn't logically justify denying the value of mine. But yes, you actually can. You can most definitely deny the value of somebody and be consistent in doing so. You can deny that somebody has just as much value as you when they're trying to, like, I don't know, the Seminole Warriors, maybe, like, the Cum Warriors of Papua New Guinea. I think we can deny, the same value from a political stance. Now I can actually affirm that since all humans have the Imago Dei, right, that would give an actual justification for universal human dignity. He doesn't have that. And if his system's also survival of the fittest, which it is, then there is no universal dignity. Whoever's the strongest is the one who's going to survive. Now, Christians killed a bunch of people. Sure, secularists have killed way more people than Christians ever have. Like it's not even comparable to the rate, right? We can go to the Bolshevik Revolution, where over 20 million Orthodox Christians were killed under the Bolsheviks. We can go to Mao Zedong's China, where they killed 80 million people. Right? Man. We can look into the Nazi Germany Revolution, right, and that time period, right? The 20th century was the bloodiest time period ever. And it's killed way more people than Christians. Plenty of people have done the math on this. It's not even close. Now, religious freedoms. I'm sorry. Why couldn't Protestants and Orthodox and Christians all live within the same nation, even under the Christian nationalist standard? Which there's no contradiction there. It's not. Christian nationalism doesn't entail a theocracy. And this idea that, these Enlightenment values have clearly shown that they make the most stable society. Well, we don't know that they create the most stable society. We've only been doing it for like 200 years, right? The Byzantine Empire lasted for 1,000 years. The Roman Empire lasted for almost 1,000, if I remember correctly, right? The Mongolian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Persian Empire. There's all kinds of empires that lasted way longer than the United States. And this idea that Peterson has of, well, we'll just use our human intuition, right, to determine what's good and what's not. Well, if that's the case, if morality is inherent to the human condition, right, and we can determine what's moral through reason, well, then anything that the nationalists decide to do, well, they did it through reason, and so it was moral. You can't actually tell me it wasn't moral. They reasoned through the position, right? If the Nazis reasoned through their position, then it was moral because it's inherent to the human condition. There's no argument against this. If the Bolsheviks reasoned, then it was inherent to the human condition. The problem is reason doesn't tell me what you mean. You're not telling me what you mean by we can reason our way through it. And
1 minute.
Honestly, with that, I'll just see the rest of my rebuttal.
Alrighty. Peterson, you can start now.
Once again, he literally didn't explain what Christian nationalism even is, how it works, or why we should do it. He has, I mean, good thing we have cross-examination because I have literally not heard a case at all. So I just wrote down notes here. There's a second rebuttal, isn't there?
There's going to be open dialogue and cross-examination. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'll just say what I wrote down from my notes then. So my opponent claimed, he said that I talked about human dignity, and then he said I claim that all humans have dignity, but he tells me that I can't explain why. I don't know why my opponent doesn't think that his system can do, or I don't know why my opponent thinks his system can do this. Christianity can't tell anybody why any of its beliefs are true. It can assert them, but Christians, there are thousands of denominations of Christianity, and they have completely contradictory views. They have a lot of beliefs in common, but they have other contradictory views. So which one is true? According to Christianity, Christianity is false because the denominations declare the other denominations are not true. And again, how are we deriving that we ought to believe any of that thing? No matter what system you're going to try to form, people have to come together to form beliefs, regardless of what level the system is or what you're even trying to accomplish. That point was no need to really talk about that. My opponent claimed that my position is survival of the fittest. I don't know why he said that. I believe in evolution, but secular humanism is not survival, is not an evolutionary worldview, and it certainly isn't survival of the fittest. I talked about a bunch of woke talking points like taking care of the dispossessed, the downtrodden, and the marginalized in our society in my opening statement. So that's obviously not survival of the fittest. Nothing I said could be even remotely compared to that. But if you take the 5 seconds it takes to understand evolution, then you would understand that humans are a cooperative species. So the biggest human beating up all the weaker humans is literally contradictory to what our evolved human nature actually is and how it works. The claim that secularists have killed more people than Christians, pretty wild to make that claim. Let me give just one example. The 30 Years' War in Germany, that was in the 17th century. Somewhere between 30 to 40% of Germany died in that conflict. And it was Protestants versus Catholics. This is Christians going to war against other Christians. And that's one example. There have been many, many, many other examples of these kinds of inter-Christianity wars. And at no point, at no country or region in World War II did you see upwards of 30 to 40% of the population die. Now, it is true that in terms of absolute numbers, there were more people alive in the 20th century. So the sheer number of people that died may be about equivalent to the totality of deaths in Christian religious wars. But you have to think in terms of magnitude. When in past conflict, we know this for a fact. It's been archaeologically and anthropologically studied. The percentage of people that died in violent conflict and wars hundreds of years ago was vastly greater than the percent of populations that died even during World War I and World War II. These are just absolute facts. So this claim is completely false.
1 minute.
Yes, my opponent said that I made the case that religious liberty is it's currently granted under the secular government we live in, but it would be precarious if we switch to Christian nationalism. My opponent said, well, why wouldn't this be the case? It literally wasn't the case. Early on in this country's history, Protestants and Catholics banned each other from even holding political office. There were religious tests. So I know it couldn't, or there's a very good case to make that that would be the case because we know it's literally happened before. So thank God for the First Amendment. And my opponent at the end there said that reason doesn't tell him anything. So it would be fascinating for my opponent to justify that claim without using reason, which is impossible.
All righty. Thank you for that. Now, whoops, wrong one. Sorry about that. Now we go to the next section. The fun section is cross-examination.
Wait,
Okay.
Jimmy, we're supposed to have a time in between. You're rushing,
Hold
brother.
on a second. I got to stop rushing. Hey, great round, you guys. We're going to take a 1 minute break right now. You guys can take a drink of water, not go to the bathroom, though. Tony, what do you think so far? I mean, they're really not at each other's throat at all here.
Well, we're gonna have a round where it's no holds barred, correct? So they could just freaking yell at each other because that's what everybody's here for, right? Blood sports. They just want to see their guy hurt another man.
That's right. Pain and defeat and watching someone else suffer. So you
an audience surrogate. This is my guy. He
This is
destroyed
my guy.
the other guy.
That's
That
right.
means I'm correct. Our team wins.
Yeah. You know, like something masculine, unlike hockey. So round 2 is going to be 15-minute cross exams for you guys. You guys could ask questions to the interlocutors that we're going to save in super chat form at the end. There's going to be a spot there. There's going to be no panel, no wasted time on a bunch of random people who happen to have a computer and a camera. Okay. No.
Wait, what did you say?
Okay. With that said, we should probably get back into the debate, Tony. We're going to do 15-minute cross exams, and that's going to start now. Steelborn, you have 15 minutes to exam Planet Peterson. You pester him, you pester each other. You just don't hold up. Go.
Examination.
Yeah, so we can start with the 30 Years' War if you want for a sec. So just something that you said in your rebuttal, I think it's fair to respond. You're right. It was about 20 to 40% of the population is what the estimation was. Do you know what the actual total was?
Somewhere between 5 and 8 million.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm seeing here too as well, and that seems to be the consensus. How about the Bolshevik Revolution?
Yeah, so I went over this. It's in terms of magnitude. If there had been more people alive in the 1700s, then the sheer number of people that would have died would have been bigger. You can't make the argument that you can't just compare absolute numbers, because if a village of 1,000 people, every single one of them dies, that's a greater tragedy than in a city of 1 million people, 1,001 people dies.
Why is that a greater tragedy?
Because one number is bigger. The magnitude of the numbers tells you why.
That doesn't tell me. Just because, okay, let's say like a village gets like a village, like,
extremely basic logic.
No, it's not basic. Because you're just telling me it's worse if the 1,000 people die than if the 1,001 people die.
Yes. Okay. So would you argue that dogs are more dangerous than sharks? Because I sure as hell wouldn't.
Yeah, it would be dependent. So like if as far as like which one are you more likely to to get attacked by? I would say you're more likely to get attacked by a dog than a shark. Yes,
but sharks are clearly more deadly and more dangerous, right? So there are very few shark attacks, but it's a much more dangerous and deadly creature. These religious wars of the past killed vastly greater proportions of the population. The horrors of the 20th century are some of the worst that ever happened. And the raw numbers are bigger, but the proportions are not. So statistically, you were less likely to die in war in the 20th century than the 17th century. That's just a fact.
I can even grant that you would be statistically less likely to die, but it's ultimately it's the point of what is the war being fought over, right? Like I think that's more relevant as well here. So like the Bolshevik Revolution killed around 7 to 12 million is what it says. There are other estimates that are higher. Do you know who the Bolsheviks mainly killed and targeted?
No, not really. I know
Mostly Orthodox Christians. They killed about 10 to 15 million Orthodox Christians, including over 100,000 clergy.
Yeah, that's horrible. I condemn it.
Over 100,000 clergy.
Yes,
what system were they using, Peter?
The French Revolution beheaded nuns. It's terrible things. I don't support any of them.
Using, Peterson?
Certainly not secular humanism. If you're
secularist.
That's not what secular humanism is.
Are you gonna lay the deaths of the atrocities of every single Christian denomination at my feet, but I can't lay the deaths the deaths caused by any secularist or any group of secularists at your feet? Then why don't you keep it to my denomination and I'll keep it to your specific group?
Do you seriously think that what the Bolsheviks were doing was saying, oh, scientifically, and we're going to use science and empathy and human reason? You think those were the tools that they used to kill them?
Peterson?
No.
What is human reason? What is human reason? Just reasoning, like inductive reasoning?
I don't know the definition of any words. I just know how to use them in sentences.
You just know how to use them in sentences. You can't even tell me what the thing that you're appealing to
No,
means.
because I'm not doing leading questions. You're here to defend your worldview.
It's a cross exam.
Yep. I don't know the definition of any word. Sorry.
So you don't know what it means to be good?
Nope. I can describe it to you. I can describe how it makes me feel.
So you can't actually tell me what any of these words mean.
I can tell you how they relate to each other.
Listen to you?
Because my system uses reason.
Yeah, that's what's in question here.
Okay.
So you're literally
reason is a. I'll be more good faith for you. Reason is just the formal description of what we call the way our brains work, using logical thinking. Even to be a Christian, you have to do that.
So inductive and deductive reasoning, is that what you're talking about when you say reason?
Any kind of reason. The same process you use to...
Does it have to be a good reason?
...decide to believe in Christianity, yes.
Does it have to be a good reason?
Anybody can do reason, or like what does this mean? I don't understand the question. Does it have to be a good reason? In order to
determine if something's moral or immoral, right? Does it have to? Do we have to, like? He says we're going to do this by using reasoning. Does the reasoning have to be good? Does it have to be good reasoning? Because the problem, if
I don't know what you mean by good. I don't know if you mean morally good or good as in the quality of
like,
it.
As in like it's like consistent and it's coherent.
If your logic leads you to make decisions that contradict whatever system you set up, then that's not good reasoning.
No, I agree with this. So it has to be consistent. So our reasoning has to be consistent for our ethics. Yep. Okay, that makes sense to me. So if the system let's say the system I come up with is like, I don't know, Christian authoritarian humanism per se, right? And I just decide, you know what? Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make that little joke, but no. Let's say I decide in my system, right, that we're gonna lock up we're just gonna abandon Christianity for a sec, right? I'm a secularist too now. So through my secular humanism, it comes to my attention that I can, let's say I do polling and everything, and I can absolutely demonstrate that the majority of the population, they find the gays icky. They don't like the gays, right? It makes them uncomfortable, and it doesn't lead to human flourishing. So we're gonna lock them all up, right? We're gonna lock them all up in cages, and that actually leads to human flourishing because the rest of the society, their happiness goes up. Why would that be immoral from your system?
There's no logical consistency in that.
What's the contradiction?
Would any of those people that are doing those actions like to be locked up themselves? No. What's the logical pathway to? Hold on it's okay for I need to be able to answer your question. There is no logical pathway you can get to from it's okay for me to terrorize and oppress and harm people, but it's not okay when anybody else does it to me. This is kind of the core of virtue ethics.
Okay, so
a version of it.
Okay, so because I value me, therefore I have to value you, even though I could come up with a totally consistent system of I don't have to value you. You're part of the out group. I don't have to value you, and I can make that system totally consistent. So I don't understand the entailment of just because I don't like it, that means therefore it's bad.
Because it's
a stupid system. That's a stupid system. Like, I don't like spicy food. Does that make spicy food bad? Like immoral? No.
No. So you have to try to understand. Is this person able to logically analyze the value of a human being? If they're going to look at themselves, because you take two humans on the planet. Like, they're going to be different height, different weights, whatever. But that doesn't set the value of what a person is. That doesn't set the ability to judge, like, what is and what is not a good person. So if you can look at somebody and they're indistinguishable from you, except they just happen, like, let's take identical twins. You have two identical twins. One is, I don't know, we'll use your example. One's gay and one is straight. Every single other thing about them is identical. So an impartial observer would look at them and they'd say, they're virtually indistinguishable, as if this one thing about them is like the difference between their value. An impartial observer wouldn't be able to make that leap. So when one of them judges the other, one of them judges the other as being somehow uniquely
homosexual community, therefore they are a greater risk to the general population at spreading disease. So we're going to lock them up to protect, to make sure that everybody else is well, and that's good.
When one person looks at the other and judges them, although they're just qualitatively, quantitatively, whatever, virtually indistinguishable from them, then they should pass the same judgment on themselves.
Why?
But they don't do that. Because otherwise they would be logically inconsistent.
And why ought we be consistent?
So again, if you're
to logic,
yeah.
So from your view, how is logic normative?
How is logic normative?
Logic is social construction.
If you set up a framework that is supposed to follow like a set of principles or rules or whatever, but then you inconsistently apply it. You make what's the word? You make conclusions that are inconsistent because you make the same value judgments through steps 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But then at the end, you just say, "Nah, one's completely different than the other." Then you're being logically inconsistent. So that's a normative violation. At least I think it is.
Okay, so I would agree with you. It's illogical. Why is it bad? Why is it bad to be inconsistent? Right? Like you're just telling me it's illogical. Okay, great. We can assume it's illogical, and I'll just even grant that if you're contradicting yourself, you're illogical. Why is that bad?
That is the reason. You can't.
So you're just
you can't possibly claim that my system literally contradicts itself. It couldn't possibly be true. It couldn't possibly have any value. If you think moral truth exists, but you're violating your own framework, then your system isn't true.
Do people who believe in Christianity, do you think that brings value to them?
Are you asking me if I think it makes them valuable, or if they derive value from it?
They find value in it. The Christians.
Yeah, anybody can find personal value in.
Okay,
stuff.
So the Christians find value in being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't believe that Christianity is true, correct?
That is correct.
So, the Christians are believing in a bunch of false stuff, and it brings them value. So now, being consistent from your view doesn't mean that from your standard was you have to be consistent in order for hold on. You said you have to be consistent in order for it to be true. That seems fair to me. But if you think that Christians are inconsistent, right, and like we're contradicting ourselves, but we find value in that. Why is what you find value in better than what we find value in?
That's all over the place. So I didn't say that just because somebody believes in something that's false, that there's no value to it. What I was saying is if your system produces all these logical inconsistencies where to make conclusions you have to violate your own logical system and hold cognitive dissonance, then that's where it becomes quote unquote bad. I mean, the economy is completely fake. Money only has value insofar as we say what the value of a dollar is.
Yeah, I agree.
Every single person believes in it. The economy is totally fake, but it works and it's really valuable.
Yeah, you can have effects from social constructions. I wouldn't disagree with that. But so hold on. So if your system makes contradictions, then you shouldn't follow it, right?
Well, you should reevaluate it. Any system I think can be reevaluated and fixed. You don't need to just completely throw the whole thing out.
All right, you're a naturalist, right?
Yeah, that probably describes me pretty well.
Okay, would you also call yourself an empiricist? And all our knowledge is derived through sense data?
Effectively, yeah.
Okay, where is that sentence found? Where is that proposition found in the sense data?
What proposition?
That all knowledge is derived through sense data. Where do I find that in the sense data?
That is a description of the way things are. Propositions don't exist in the universe. We make them to describe the universe.
So propositions don't exist?
No.
Then the proposition
we make them.
If propositions don't exist, then the proposition of Christian nationalism bad doesn't exist. And for bad, does bad or good exist? No, they're propositions from your view. So you can't actually tell me that it's fucking bad to be a Christian nationalist because it doesn't actually exist. No part of it exists because it's just a proposition.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to argue the ontological status of these claims, that's almost interesting. But what we're trying to do here is determine what kind of world we want to live in, and the whether or not it really exists has no bearing over whether or not it would be better or worse for society.
Okay, great. I agree with you then. So whether or not it's better for society.
Well, then why did you waste everybody's time?
So do the Christians, so hold on. So you think that the Christians committed all these atrocities, right? Like they killed all these people.
Well, right? You and I both know that happened. Yeah.
Okay, so we agree that that's the case, right?
Yeah.
But if there's no God, then they came to that position through their own human reasoning, right? They reasoned to that position, right? And as long as they used reason, then it was good. They didn't reason it out. They just did it arbitrarily.
Because Christianity is arbitrary, and they appeal to faith, not reason.
That was the appeal for the 30-Year War entirely. Was just faith.
The reason that you declare your particular denomination is ultimately true, and that, I don't know, whatever Catholicism is false, is going to be faith. You will not be able to use reason.
No, it wouldn't be faith. You could most definitely use reason to like determine, for example, that the Protestants don't have apostolic succession. Like you would agree that like there's actually entailments to being a Christian, right? Like I can't be like, I'm a Christian who worships Buddha and curb stomps toddlers for Satan. I wouldn't be able to call myself a Christian at that point, right?
Well, I have no idea what a Christian is according to you.
Oh, you want my view? Oh, orthodoxy.
Well, that doesn't actually tell me anything. This is your cross-exam, though.
The Eastern Orthodox Church, that doesn't tell you anything? Okay.
No.
So remember, guys, and throughout the cross-exam, propositions don't exist. So to say that Christian nationalism bad, well, that can't be true. It doesn't exist.
Time.
So we don't find it in the sense data.
Literally.
All right, Peterson, you ready for your cross-examination?
Okay, go.
And sorry, Tony. Was that? Did you?
I just say hi.
Hey, Tony.
All right, bye.
All right, great work. All right, so Peterson, your 15 minutes starts now.
Yeah. So to make the point I was making just at the end there. So let's say that I'm a hypothetical person. I get an abortion every single year, and I'm Eastern Orthodox. So does that work?
No, that's not even possible.
Okay, so when I said that your claim that I'm Eastern Orthodox, that doesn't tell me anything, that would be why. So what is a Christian?
So for my view, the Christian, an actual. So do you want? I would make this distinction. Here's the distinction I make: lowercase c and uppercase c, right? Like, so lowercase c Christians, that would be the people who identify with the following of the teachings of Jesus Christ and trying to keep His commands. Like uppercase Christians, I would say those who are a part of the body of the church. And you can make, there's plenty of arguments and proofs that the Orthodox Church is the church that was founded by the apostles and continued.
Okay. Can a Christian go to hell?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. There are different denominations that don't feel that way. So I need to know like who I'm talking to, because that greatly changes the way I would ask questions.
I wouldn't say salvation's guaranteed for being a Christian at all.
Okay, cool. I like that. I prefer that. So what kind of Christian nationalism are you advocating for? A theonomy where we derive our nation's laws directly from the Bible, or a kind of populism where we have like a state church, we're culturally Christian, we make the assertion that we're a Christian nation? What are you actually?
I would say I align more with the populist type, where it's like I want the ethics and the culture to be shaped by Christianity, because I think ultimately the culture and the ethics of your culture, like, so you have politics is downstream from culture, and culture is downstream from your culture's theology, whatever that theology is, right?
Sure.
So that's why I would say like I wouldn't force the theology though. Like I wouldn't say like we're gonna force convert people. Okay.
Yeah, because in 2 Corinthians, or as Trump would say, 2 Corinthians, Paul says Christianity should be spread by faith, righteousness, and arguments, and not by force. So you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah.
Okay. There's lots of different versions of Christian nationalism, so I'm trying to figure out where you're coming from. So I ask you fair questions. So let me figure out. I have some written down, so I'm jumping around here. So do you think that we have a secular constitution?
Absolutely.
Okay. So do you think that if basically everyone in the country was an observing Christian, but we kept the Constitution the way it is, that would be Christian nationalism?
Repeat the question. I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Do you think that if virtually everybody in the country was an observing, practicing Christian, but our Constitution didn't change, that would technically be Christian nationalism?
I'm not sure that it would technically be Christian nationalism, but it'd be a move in that direction. Like it wouldn't. It's not the goal of Christian nationalism, but like it's a movement in that direction.
Okay, so now that I kind of understand where you're coming from, to me, I don't think being a Christian has anything to do with what kind of government you live under. So I'm curious as to in what sense Christian nationalism is Christian.
So Christian nationalism is the push of trying to shape the culture, right, and trying to engage with culture and show how the ethics of Christianity is superior to every other ethical system, right, and that like the laws of our society should be based or like should be built upon Christian ethics. It's the ideal ethical system to build a nation from.
But what does that have to do with being a Christian? Because Christianity, it doesn't compel anyone to believe in or do anything. It compels you as a Christian. So in what sense is changing the nation to become a Christian nationalist nation? In what sense is that actually Christian?
So there's nothing inconsistent about the Christians wanting to make their nation more Christian, right? But like I wouldn't say nationalism, like there's no political system that's really an ought from the Christian view. Like there's not like a specific political system that's like required to be a Christian. Now there are some that are obviously better than others. Like for example, you can't be a Christian and you can't be an Orthodox and a communist. It's like you'll be excommunicated from the church. So the view is not that like I have a moral obligation to push a political system. It's I have a moral obligation to attempt to or to try and change the culture around me to be more Christ-like, to follow the teachings of the church.
Okay. So let me pose, this is going to sound kind of weird, but so I'm going to assume that what you think should change in this country is going to be things like maybe banning abortion, maybe not letting women vote, maybe banning gay marriage, stuff like that. Am I correct? Tell me if any of that's wrong.
What was the last point? I just want to make sure I heard it.
Not allowing gay marriage, not recognizing.
I thought it was women voting is what you said.
That was the middle one.
Oh, I had it backwards. I wouldn't. There's no entailment that women can't vote from the Christian nationalist view, but
okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
And then so the gay marriage thing, like, I'm not saying that we have to imprison the homosexuals. I would actually advocate against just imprisoning them for it. But I would want marriage to be taken out of the hands of the state and moved back into the hands of the church, because marriage is ultimately a sacrament.
Okay, so if I what about like traditional family values? Like there should be fewer women in the workforce. We're better off women being homemakers.
Well, yeah, and there's great arguments for that. The main one being that if you reduce the amount, do you agree that if you were to reduce the amount of workers, then the demand for workers would go up, so their wages would go up?
That's possible. Elizabeth Warren, funny enough, has made that argument. She has a book called The Two Income Trap. So here's why I'm bringing all of this up. In the Islamic world, they don't allow gay marriage in any major Islamic country. There isn't a single major Islamic country that allows for abortion, as far as I know. If they do, it's extremely restrictive. And women are vastly, as a proportion, out of the workforce and education. In some countries, it's even illegal for women to get an education. So obviously, they're not Christians, but it sounds like they're espousing the values of Christian nationalism pretty strongly.
No. So from the Christian nationalist view, there's no entailment. In fact, we wouldn't actually say women can't get educated, for one. Number two, it's true that the Islamic countries don't allow for abortion, but I don't know if you're aware of this, but Iran is actually the capital of the world for transgender surgeries, which would be one thing that Christians would definitely want to get rid of.
If I've never heard that about Iran, maybe it's the case, but there's a lot of other Islamic countries that are not doing that. So if we just take a few issues like gay marriage and abortion and a few other things, it sounds like they're doing a lot of the things that you would recognize that Christian nationalism is intended to do, right?
So there could be certain goals that we could be aligned on, but ultimately we couldn't. Like, Islam and Christianity is not compatible.
Yes, I know. So this is why I'm saying, if Christian nationalism is just the policy things you want to accomplish, then it's indistinguishable from these Islamic countries. So they're doing Christian nationalism. Now, even I think that that's obviously they're not doing Christian nationalism. But what's the only difference is their faith. So if they end up policy-wise in broadly the exact same place, yet it's a completely different religion, this demonstrates to me I still have no idea in what sense Christian nationalism is even Christian, because the Muslims are doing all the stuff you guys want to do. So what's actually Christian about it?
I'm sorry, is the Muslim allowed to beat his 4 wives?
Maybe in some places.
And are Muslims allowed to marry multiple women?
Yeah, probably in some places.
Are Muslims allowed to marry? Are Muslims allowed to practice first cousin marriage?
I didn't say that they're one-to-one the same.
Well, I'm asking because you were talking about the marriage reform stuff, right?
Like, okay,
we want to do marriage reform. They have the marriage reform.
I got to reclaim my time. You're actually not supposed to ask questions to me.
That's fair.
So
that's right.
I just want an answer.
Back.
I just want an answer to my question. They're doing, they do stuff that's different, but broadly with a lot of big picture issues, they're doing exactly the same thing.
No, they're not. They're not. They have one alignment on the marriage of like they don't allow gays to get married
and abortion.
And abortion
and like, traditional households.
No, not traditional households.
Women.
They're not. They don't have traditional households.
Okay. Well, if you're going to make the distinction because in some of those places they're doing a lot of polygamy, then okay.
That's one, the polygamy, and then the other one. We don't advocate for beating women. And we don't advocate for locking them up or forcing them to stay in the house.
In the United States, there were no laws for marital rape until 1977. So I'm glad that
it wasn't categorized as the same thing, but that's just equivocating. It was considered assault, and it was just you were given the same punishment for that. But also, it was still just as hard to prove then as it is now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to move on to some of my other questions. So you currently have the right to observe your religion under our secular constitution. So how does Christian nationalism preserve and protect that right?
Well, for one, I don't believe in rights, and two, why do we have to though? Why do we have to allow a bunch of Muslims to practice in our nation?
Stop asking me questions. How does
fine.
Christian
nationalism? It doesn't, and we don't care that it doesn't.
I didn't. You're bringing up Muslims. I didn't say Muslims. I said, how does Christian nationalism protect the rights of Christians?
In what sense?
You know that we used to have religious tests, and Protestants and Catholics prevented members of the opposite group from holding public office and I think voting and some other things. So I'm just asking you, how does your system work?
So I would move this back to the way we had it at our founding, which is that we actually used to have this. These states could actually have their own denominations post ratification of the Constitution. Right, they were like the states had their own state religions, most of them, not all of them. I think like 2 of them didn't.
So, okay. So how does
like for example, Louisiana? Let's say Louisiana becomes like they're a Lutheran state. Mm-hmm. They don't have to allow the Presbyterians or the Baptists. They don't have to allow them to vote or to hold office in their state because they're not a Lutheran. The problem with this is what?
And that's good. Do you want this? Hypothetically means wherever you live, don't dox yourself. But you are now setting up the potential for wherever you live, your denomination now excludes you from being able to participate in government, which is the way we structure our lives. So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of universal suffrage. I think it's a ridiculous idea.
So do you think that so you're totally fine with Orthodox people not having suffrage?
If the state was Catholic, sure.
That's a kind of a wild admission, I guess. Why is that?
Because I think that universal suffrage is a terrible idea.
Do you want to be oppressed? Do you want to have your rights taken away?
Well, no, I don't want to have my rights. Well, it depends on what you mean. I don't think rights actually exist, right? So the only thing I care about is am I prevented?
Neither do I. Money doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean that I would be okay if somebody drained all of the ones and zeros from my bank account.
Well, yes, but that's a different thing. It's a different concept, right? Money is the way in which we barter because, we have to have a universal standard, or there has to be a universal standard for how we trade when, like, let's say you make the boots and I make the hammers, right? And you don't want a hammer, but I want a pair of boots. Well, we're fucked.
Okay, I don't want to talk about economics because I don't think Christian nationalism has much to say about that.
It's a different thing than to say that you're entitled to this shit just because, right?
Why are you open to having your rights taken away?
How can I have something taken away that I don't think exists? I think rights are just a social construction that's only as good as you can enforce them.
Even if it's a social construction, it can still exist. It's a fiction we all agree with.
No, I wouldn't say it exists. I can be impacted by the social construction, but it doesn't exist.
Why are you okay with being negatively impacted by the social construction of the Catholics taking away your right to vote?
Well, because if there was a Catholic-ran state, we would agree on pretty much everything. In fact, Catholics actually allow the Orthodox to come in and partake of their Eucharist, right? Of their communion. We're allowed. We as Orthodox, according to the Catholics, can go in and partake of communion with them. We won't because we can't do it from our system.
One minute.
Okay. You know the progressive
the Catholics do all the stuff I like. They limit abortion, no gay rights, right? They vote for all kinds of things.
I need to talk over you because it's my time. You know that progressive pastor that was at Trump's inauguration?
Not by name, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Like you were aware of it.
Yeah.
So if like a super progressive denomination that is quote unquote pro open borders, I just really mean like pro immigration, like not MAGA aligned or whatever. If that became like the ruling Christian nationalist denomination, that would be Christian nationalism, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't say it's Christian, but
why would it not be Christian? They believe in Christ, the Trinity, the resurrection.
I say that'd be lower C Christian, but so the question is if you had like a super progressive Christianity quote, that's a contradiction in terms. That's why it doesn't make sense.
What's the contradiction?
Christianity is a tradition.
So
you can't have progressive tradition.
And that's time, y'all. We're gonna just take a really short break right now. Graded cross-examination. Tony, how's it going over there for you, sir? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. This is really nice.
That's great. So on this last round here, round 3, this is flying by. Thank you guys all for the support. We're going to read the super chats at the end. If you do have questions, mostly I've seen just compliments to me and Tony the whole night, which is a change, right? You know?
Yeah, we did a great job. This is a great format where artistic geniuses.
That's right. So the next round is going to be 30 minutes unhinged, and then we're going to get a 5-minute closer. And then we're going to read the super chats and hang out a little bit. Maybe
you're when the zombie colored. You're a little bit zombie colored.
Yeah, I need a drink.
Calm down.
I need a drink. I need a drink.
Calm down.
Oh.
Calm down. We were supposed to do like little times in between, and you've been just like speed running all the stuff, bro. It's okay. You're doing great though. I want you to know that.
Are you ready for the last round?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
All right, you guys, this is the last round. It's a open, unhinged 30 minutes. Now, I do want you guys to consider when you're doing this, consider the model you have, what it offers society. Why is it unique in comparison to the opposition and vice versa? That's what the audience would like to hear. What does Christianity, Christian nationalism bring that secularism doesn't? What does secularism bring that Christian nationalism doesn't? And so forth, okay? And you can start that right now.
All right. You want me to start with just what does Christian nationalism bring that secular humanism doesn't?
Yeah. Might as well.
All right. So the goal of Christian nationalism, what it brings is it's a universal standard for a society to always appeal to, for one, so that our ethics would be universal. They would be unchanging, and even I would say they wouldn't be arbitrary, but Peterson would. But not only that, it's going to bring a couple of things. One, it's going to bring actual like coherent families together that are actually like a working model, right? Mom, dad, couple of kids, right? You can't the two homos can't go buy a baby. Like, they can't pay a woman to rent her womb to buy a baby, right? That's going to be one thing that it's going to bring. It's also going to bring a standard back for our ethics that humanism can't actually provide, because if two groups are competing within the humanist group and they're both using reason, well, then they're on equal footing. Whereas the Christian nationalist can say, no, the Muslim's not on equal footing with me, even if he agrees with me on stuff.
Can you think of a good argument for antinatalism?
Absolutely not. It's a totally incoherent worldview.
Well, you just gave one. You said homos shouldn't be able to have surrogate mothers.
That's not an anti-natalist.
Yes,
position.
it is. We have an opportunity to bring somebody into the world, and the only people that can do that are people that can afford to do that. And your socioeconomic status is the number one predictor by far of how successful you'll be in life, how good of a
depends on how you measure success.
Contributor to society you will be, how healthy you will be in the long run. And you just said, no, I'm going to get rid of even the possibility for that in this one case. So you made an anti-natalist case.
Well, because from the no, it's not an anti-natalist case. In the Christian ethics,
preventing a human being from entering the world. That's anti-natalism.
Anti-natalism is the goal to get people to stop having kids, entirely. But just because I don't want to, okay, so like, hold on. If I don't, hold on a second. If I don't want, even if I would affirm that they're still humans, right? I'm not saying that the baby is bad, right? It's the method and how the baby came to be that's bad. Just like I could say that a child that was conceived in rape, the child's not bad and they haven't done anything wrong, but I still don't want children to be conceived in rape as a standard for society. Like, does that seem like an anti-natalist position to you, to say I don't want this to be a standard for how we actually create children?
No, that doesn't sound like anti-natalism.
So if I don't want children to be made in the same from way that I view as basically just as bad, of two homos buying a baby, which takes the creation of children outside of the marital act, which is the way it's supposed to be done, from my view, how is that an anti-natalist position? If it's the same reasoning for why I don't want the child conceived in rape, like I don't want that to be the standard.
They're not. Do you think being gay is morally equivalent to being raped?
No, I'm saying the act of creating the child is equally bad to me because it's creating a child outside of the marital act. This is also why I'm against IVF.
I mean, I guess that seems pretty wild. I guess.
Oh, okay, it's pretty wild. That's a great argument.
Okay. Do you have another question? I'm going to try to think of what I want to ask next, but do you have another question?
Yeah. So hold on. So why should our society allow for like the pride parades, right? Where you have a bunch of homos running around in drag, dancing in front of children, right? They have dildos fucking glued to their forehead and shit, right? Why should we allow that for our how is that beneficial to our society?
Why do you get, there's no logical argument you can make that you expressing a pride in your sexual orientation is fine, but nobody else can do it. Pride parades don't harm anybody. You just don't like them.
That wasn't my question.
I don't like the way olives taste. I'm not going to ban anybody from eating olives.
My question is, how is it beneficial to our society?
It can be neutral. It doesn't harm anybody. When you when did Jesus ever say it's okay to oppress certain people? Never. There's nothing Christian about what you are talking about here.
What do you mean by oppress?
Prevent anybody from pursuing, I guess we could go constitutional and say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, no, there's definitely examples in Christianity where you should prevent people from pursuing just happiness or life or liberty. Like just on its own, definitely.
Ground it in scripture then?
I don't have to always appeal to scripture from my view. I can also appeal to the tradition of the church for one. But two, so, okay, you want an example of preventing or us preventing liberty? The entirety of Christianity is a prevention of liberty, right? Like that's actually like the liberty is satanic theology, is like ultimate liberty, right? Where our view is I'm saying from the Christian view.
Just because you believe in liberty doesn't mean you believe in hedonism or something like that.
Ultimate liberty.
Yeah, ultimate liberty would be you doing whatever you want, whenever you want. I think hedonism is a pretty good synonym for that.
No, hedonism is a system that values. It just says that you should do whatever brings you pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's maybe there are better synonyms.
Bring you pleasure?
Not really. No, probably not.
Yeah, right. So like hedonism, liberty, not the same thing. You still do whatever. You still do what you want.
You're just being pedantic.
I think they're they're actually very distinct and very different.
So again, to get back to what we were talking about, one says do whatever you want
as long as you don't hurt anybody. The other one says maximize pleasure.
So can you give me the case for how a pride parade actually harms anybody?
Oh, well, if the Christians all find it to be morally repugnant, right, and it actually makes them upset to see it, right, and if they're upset, then it's going to necessarily lower their happiness, right? So if it lowers their happiness and there's more Christians than there are, than there are homos, why shouldn't we just say no more of that stuff? Because for the majority of people, they would prefer not to see it. Let's just say that we had a poll that said the majority of people are negatively impacted.
This might makes right argument.
It's not a might makes right.
Yes, it is. You said there's more of us, and so why shouldn't we oppress them? It hurts our feelings.
Well, how is it oppression to say you can't? How is it oppression to say you can't walk around half naked in the street? Is it oppressive to say that you can't walk around naked in the street? Is that oppressive?
It's a kind of discrimination that I think is probably beneficial, but you can make a reasonable case for it. So what is the reasonable case, the non-contradictory case or whatever, for why it's okay for you to ban, for example, a pride parade, but it's not okay for the gays to go around and put tarps over all of the Christian iconography in this country? Tear down all the Christian monuments. Why is it not okay to do that? But it's okay for you to do it.
Because the Pride Parade is a celebration of I would say degeneracy, but at the very least we could say it's the celebration of a genetic dead end, right? So if we promote Pride, and by the way, this is how it works with all things. The more things are advertised, the more people tend to move towards them, right? I think that
every gay person is made by straight parents. Being gay isn't contagious.
That's not true at all, actually. By the way.
It's literally true. It's not an infection. It's not a virus.
No, I agree with you. It's not an infection or a virus, but children that are raised by homosexual parents are more likely to be homosexual. But not only that, if two homosexuals buy a baby and then their kid goes, "Hey, dads, I'm gay," right? So then not all gay people are made by straight people. Like, wouldn't you like logically agree with that? That if, if a boy is raised by his two dads, right, and then he becomes gay, or he says he's gay, then it was not made by straight people?
The child was born to... I mean, I did a quick Google search, and it's just a Google AI overview. Children raised by gay parents are no more likely to identify as gay than those raised by heterosexual parents.
Well, they're more likely to just not identify as heterosexual. They're more likely to identify as some other category.
I mean, okay. I still haven't heard why, what the reasonable, rational case for why shouldn't gay people go around covering up all Christian iconography, but homosexual iconography isn't allowed in society. Shouldn't be allowed in society.
Because homosexual iconography is the promotion of a genetic dead end, and ultimately it's gonna be the more you promote homosexuality, you want to promote like the extinction of the species. Because if more of the species becomes homosexual,
that would never happen.
Demonstrate the contradiction.
The contradiction in what?
Is it logically possible?
I don't have to grant a hypothetical. This is like, if the Earth was flat, it would look flat.
In order for you to tell me that you're going to reject my hypothetical, you have to demonstrate that the hypothetical is invalid. In order for the hypothetical to be invalid, it has to be a contradiction.
There's zero supporting evidence that if you just affirm the existence of gay people, that it causes the population to become so gay that the population disappears. There's zero evidence.
Is it logically possible?
In the sense that I can imagine it. Is it likely to happen? No. Not in 10 trillion years. No.
Hold on. Do you think people do you actually believe that people are born gay? Or do you think that your environment can influence your sexuality?
It's overwhelmingly genetic. We know this because
Is it?
Because identical twins correspond about 0.7. I think it might be a little bit higher than that, but around 0.7 for their sexual orientation.
Okay. Well, then, real quick, if it's basically just genetics, then why is it when men go to prison, were they always gay? Were they always gay?
Probably because they get lonely. You know who the most likely person?
So your environment can influence your sexual behavior.
I very clearly demonstrated that, yeah, when I said that identical twins correlate at 0.7, not 1.
So then it's not entirely genetics?
Thank you, Ani.
Yes, that's what that means.
So it's possible then still. So it's even possible.
I can imagine in my head that if everybody became Christian, they would all of a sudden become the death cult version of Christianity, and then everyone would commit suicide, and then that would be the end of civilization.
That's not possible.
Yes, it is logically possible. I can imagine it.
No, it's not logically possible to be a Christian and then say that you ought to commit suicide.
Have you ever heard of the like 2nd and 3rd century Christians that offered themselves up to Rome to be thrown onto funeral pyres and tortured and killed? It was a very, very popular thing, actually.
To be martyred?
Yes.
So for one, if you're martyred against your will, like, and what I mean by that is like,
you're just going to tell me that they weren't really Christian, which is
I'd say they're not really martyrs if they're going, I'm going to kill myself for Jesus, right? That's not.
So it's logically possible.
I would say that's not actual martyrdom for one, but okay, is it logically possible for somebody who identifies as a Christian and do that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, therefore Christianity bad.
No. Is it possible to be a Christian, and consistently say you ought to kill yourself? No, that's a contradiction. That would
okay. Well, then instead of suicide, they try to usher in the nuclear holocaust to bring about the second coming or something like that, which is actually a huge fucking problem that we actually have with Christianity in this country, unfortunately. But yeah, so I can imagine that. Therefore, since it's logically possible, therefore what? This hypothetical is incredibly stupid. Neither one of us are dumb enough to think that it would actually happen. I don't know why you think that anybody watching this or anybody in the world is dumb enough to think that if you stop oppressing gay people, everybody becomes so gay that the population reaches zero. I'm not entertaining that thought anymore. Let's talk about something else.
Well, no, is it better for society to promote nuclear families or fucking two dudes banging each other, Peterson? Which one's better for society? Which one's better to promote? Honestly, tell me your honest fucking opinion here. And if you tell me that there's no difference,
you're giving a false equivalency because your question is framed as if it's either all one or all the other.
No,
they can coexist.
Is one of them better than the other?
They can coexist.
Is one better than the other?
In what sense?
Like, is one going to be better for your society long term?
There's no reason they can't coexist.
That's not my fucking question, Peterson. Stop dodging.
It is your question. If at all times in our society there were just at some random point two dudes banging, then we could still exist as a society. The population numbers could still go up. There's no problem
in your society that behavior is good.
Is
that better to promote that?
I have answered this question.
No, you just dodged it. Actually,
no, I haven't.
Actually answered my fucking question.
You don't know your own question. I answered your question. You're asking it again because you think what you're actually asking is, would it be better if everybody was gay versus everybody was hetero?
Hey, let's just do that first. Which one would be better then?
What do you mean by better?
Whatever your standard of better is. We'll go with your standard here.
If those people were decent people and they were happy and they didn't harm anybody, then what's wrong with it? That all of a sudden the next generation everybody disappears. Okay, if everybody died naturally, I don't understand what's morally wrong with that. In your worldview, they either just go to heaven or hell, which is what's going to happen anyways. So no wrong has occurred.
No, it would still be, from my view, that would still be you would be promoting everybody committing sin. So no, that'd be bad.
Well, you asked me according to me. I don't believe in sin.
I granted that, but you said, well, according to you, they're just going to go to heaven or hell, and I was like, yeah, that's true, but not very. I mean, the likelihood of going to heaven is not very great if you're a bunch of guys are butt fucking. But
man,
let's move on to something different.
You're so full of Christian love.
Yeah, you don't even understand what Christian love is, Peterson. I've heard you make this argument.
Is it to hate people? What is Christian love?
Christian love is to will the good of another and that has to be it's to will the good of another for their benefit. That's what Christian love is. So it's from my view. Like in order for me to do something loving, that's actually I'm willing to what I think is best for you for no benefit to me, but for your purpose.
Ground your condescension and use of slurs against homosexuals in Scripture.
Yeah, Jesus Christ called people dogs. He called them pits of vipers, whitewashed tombs. These were
Explain the context of the dog story.
If I remember correctly, he was talking to the Pharisees and he called them dogs.
Nope.
I could be wrong about who he was specifically talking to.
He was talking to a woman whose child needed healing, and Jesus at first he refused because she was part of an outside group. I don't know what she was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the woman says, he said, he makes the comment about dogs, but the woman says, but even the dog eats from the scraps from the table. And then Jesus grants her the miraculous healing of her daughter. So if Jesus thought that if Jesus was using subhuman language, like the kind Nazis used against Jews, calling them rats, and like the kind that happened in Rwanda that inspired that genocide too, I think they called them roaches. If Jesus was actually doing that, first of all, I don't understand how that's all good, loving, or anything like that. But then, why would he grant her this healing miracle? Okay, that's fine. We can talk about something else.
I'm not sure how I'm actually answer that question, but real quick, did he also call the Pharisees vipers, right? And did the church declare people to be heretics, called them godless heathens, pagans?
Possibly.
I'm saying, did the church all do like you would agree with me? The church
is that all loving, which Jesus apparently is?
To will the good of another? Yes. If you tell somebody that they're a pagan and they're going to go to hell, and that the reason that you're telling them this is because you want to.
Is using subhuman not demonizing, but is using subhuman demoralizing language against somebody all loving?
Demonstrate what part of it was dehumanizing or
comparing them to animals.
Who would I compare to animals?
You literally just said it. He called the woman a dog. He called the Pharisees or whoever vipers.
Oh wait, so why is calling?
You just said it.
So if somebody's a liar and I call them a snake, am I oppressing them?
So the snake comment is not a slur. Then he's just saying we commonly associate lying with snakes because Satan was that lying serpent in the garden. So now your whole thing about Jesus actually used slurs, you just undermined your own claim. This has nothing to do with Christian nationalism versus secularism, though. So that's probably my fault. We got on that tangent. So
that's okay. We can come back to, let's say, the application. What does society look like with the use of force and law from both perspectives? I think we're kind of going into that, but it veered off.
Well, what I would say is our current system is what secular humanism. It's what secular humanism wrought. So I would say that's what it is. Now, Steelborn, if you think there's a huge problem with the way force or whatever is authorized constitutionally or whatever, and you think there's a way to insert Jesus in there and make it better, go ahead.
I wouldn't say that the methodology for our current system of force would be inherently wrong, right? But I would say that whoever the force, ultimately whoever uses the force, whoever has the monopoly on force, you really want to be particular about what their ethical system is, whoever has the monopoly on force, right? So could you, what would be the problem if, even from the secularist view of we could still affirm human dignity, right, and ground it in reason, but if they used Christian ethics, right, to let's say we used force to forcibly stop people from getting abortions, what's the problem with that? And I'll grant. Oh, by the way, I'll just grant for that.
That has nothing to do with Christianity.
I'll grant the exceptions.
I would say fine, but in no way is what you just described Christian.
Using force to stop people from killing babies?
No, not that. The part how you described the process in which you get there.
I said that in the beginning. I literally said there's nothing. I don't see any inherent problem with the way or the fact that there is a monopoly on force, or even the way that the Constitution has the monopoly on force set up.
Yes,
right?
but you said okay. So here's what I'm laying out. What you're not advocating for Christian nationalism. You're not even inserting Christianity in here at all. Are you making that decision using your very fallible human brain?
What decision?
the decision, the hypothetical you laid out, where us Christians are going to get together and we're going to do blank. Did you use your very human? Did you use your very fallible human brain to, or are all the people using their very fallible human brains in this hypothetical?
That would be, well, from your view, that'd be the case, but not from my view. From my view, this would be a commandment from God. So I'm actually not appealing to myself. I'm appealing to God. So
God is doing the thinking for you?
God is telling me what's good or what's wrong or what's right based on his nature. That's how
does God cause you to act? Does he violate your free will?
No, I wouldn't say God caused me to act.
So the only way you can even know if what God is saying is right or wrong is to use your human reason to determine.
Yes, but I can give an accounting for why I have reasoning, why it's reliable. I can give an accounting for why the laws of logic are invariant and universal.
No, you can make a claim.
Is it coherent within my system?
If you ask me, no, but this will take us outside the scope of what we're trying to discuss here. So all I'm trying to point out to you is I don't see how you're actually interjecting any Christianity in here.
I want the ethics
Not really.
Of my nation to be based on Christian ethics. Like, I don't know how many times
you're using your human reason to do that, and you're doing it in the interest of bettering the lives of humans. That's literally just humanism, and you're using your brain to do it. That's very secular of you.
No, it's not very secular of me.
God's not doing any of the work. You're using your human brain to say, I think society would be better if we did blank, therefore I'm going to do blank.
My view,
the Muslims do the exact same thing. It's indistinguishable.
Can the Holy Spirit guide people, from my view?
I think there are people that, well, I mean, there are denominations that don't think that, I believe, but...
Okay, so from the Orthodox view, yes, the Holy Spirit can move through people, it can guide people. So if that's the case, how, like, and let's just say, like, I could somehow associate it and say, like, the Holy Spirit is the one guiding us to do this. That's not very secular anymore, is it?
Is that what you actually believe?
That the Holy Spirit moves through the church? Absolutely, yeah.
Well, do you believe that when you make moral decisions, do you think the Holy Spirit is actually doing it for you?
Doing it for me? No, I didn't say that it was doing it for me, but I can say that it can definitely help in in the clearing of the noose when I make decisions, right?
Oh, geez, the noose. I've heard of this noose before. You can go. I think I probably started that line of questioning, so go ahead and ask me something.
Yeah. So, can you real quick? So, based on using our human reason and our empathy, right? We have now in the United States aborted about 72 million babies. Could you tell me how society is better off having done that?
Every single measurable metric about our society has trended upward, except for income inequality and cyber terrorism over the last several decades.
That's so
it hasn't caught. Okay, what else?
Women's happiness has actually gone down relative both to men and then relative to women in general.
If you track those trends, certain trends, the graph looks like a sawtooth. It goes up and then it goes down, and it goes up and then it goes down. For most of these, the data I see on it is it's not exactly spurious, but they arbitrarily pick a certain starting date. And then they show, well, from this decade to this decade, it goes down. But when you expand it, the data looks different. This is what happens with suicides all the time. If we were sitting here 10 years ago talking about suicide, we'd say, oh, crap, there's this massive increasing surge in it. But over the most recent decades, it's actually going down. So people arbitrate. I mean, you got to give me some actual data that I can look at for that. But
okay, hold on.
I don't know what makes.
You haven't demonstrated the correlation to abortion for any of those, even any of those positives that you claimed. You haven't demonstrated the correlation to abortion there.
I'm telling you that abortion is something in our society, and yet, despite that, all these trends are still positive. That's what I was saying.
Hold on. Has narcotic use gone up as well?
Oh yeah, that one's gone up too. So you can add that to the income inequality, cyber terrorism.
No, hold on a sec. So if narcotics use has gone up,
you're claiming that has anything to do with abortion? Narcotic use?
No. That's what I'm saying. You said that abortion's in our society, so therefore it correlates to all these great things going up. So
I never said that. I never said that abortion is making.
How does abortion make these things go up? Where's the correlate there?
I never made that claim. I'm claiming that despite the fact that it is part of our society, you said it's dragging society down. Nope. Every measurable metric except for the drug overdoses, those are up, and a few other things. Everything else, we're healthier. With obesity and a few other things, but that stuff is post-COVID, and we can look at the economic and political and geopolitical and whatever reasons for why that is. It's not caused by abortion. The majority of things are trending upward. Our health,
except for the birth rate,
our health has been
fucking down for 100 years, Peterson.
It's been going down amongst Christians too.
Yes, I'm aware that it's been going down amongst Christians, but Christians are still, on average, the only ones that actually the religious are the only ones that actually have a replacement rate of any kind.
That's fine. So if all of us
divorce rates, right? The religious have lower divorce rates. They have higher marriage and sexual satisfaction.
If all of the people like me disappear, but our country, our constitution, remains in place, then if you ask me, that's just secular humanism, because that's the top down. How the society is structured.
I've been thinking about this throughout the debate. I'm still not sure that it's secular humanism, because the entirety of the Constitution is founded upon an axiom of, these people are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, right? Who's the creator that you think they're referencing? Do you think it was mom and dad?
No, the creator is nature and nature's God. I can tell you about this if I got to pull up the. Give me a second.
Yes, nature and nature's God. Yes, I've heard your argument for this, right? So the whole nature thing, the appeal.
That's literally what they thought. Thomas Jefferson didn't even want to put the creator in there. The deists that were
Jefferson was a deist.
Yes, it would actually be more accurate to say the other Christians and some of the other deists wanted him to put that in there.
So the Constitution was still founded upon an axiom of endowed by their creator?
I have notes on this. The Declaration says the laws of nature and nature's God. Jefferson wrote the Declaration, but it was created by a committee of 5. Among them was Adams, who says plainly, quote, "We can never be so certain of any miracle as we are from the revelation of nature. That is, nature's God." That's the kind of nature that these Enlightenment deists thought of when they say creator.
He loses the debate.
But that's the But that's just the.
Wait, you're.
I don't know if he said
not there.
I don't know if he said Constitution or Declaration, but this is just the Declaration, which isn't a legally binding.
We'll just let him do the remaining time arguing with Steelboard. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Argue with definitely.
Argue with Steelboard not being there.
That's right.
I win.
Yeah, he basically rage quit. So whatever, I don't know why that last topic was so stuffy for him, but we'll wait for him to get back. In the meantime, we're going to prepare for closing statements. Hopefully when he gets back soon, we'll be able to do that. 5 minutes each. And then we'll just take we'll read through the super chats, the ones that apply. A lot of them are just compliments for the show, which I appreciate. But the ones that are directed to you guys, we can do that as well.
I could go like this. Hold on. Just give me a second. I can make it like
Oh, nice. Oh, Judy mocked you.
What the hell, bro?
He just loon mocked. Do you know what a loon is?
I know what a loon is. It's like a freaking sick duck.
It's a sick duck. That's right.
It's the sickest duck.
It's not a bad description of a loon, actually.
They're freaking got red eyes. They're crazy. They make me, I don't know. They're kind of calming, but maybe in like a, like a mushroom sort of way. I don't know. I like them.
My breaker tripped, he said. Breaker tripped. All right. Well, that might take a bit. So instead of doing your closing, we'll actually we might skip the closing depending on how long it takes.
Whoa, give him a second.
I don't really have much to say.
As a closer, yeah. I guess then, okay, then let's.
You have like a favorite poem?
No.
Yeah. Do you ever write bad lyrics and you know they're bad?
Oh yeah, like songs count as poems. You have like a favorite song that you memorize the lyrics, like Counting Crows or something?
I mean, I've learned all kinds of songs.
Okay, go for it. Just like do the lyrics, but don't sing them, and then it becomes a poem.
Man, what's a good one? What's a good?
Don't say Dave Matthews.
There are songs that are very poetic that I like, and now all of a sudden I can't think of any.
This means a lot to me.
Paul Simon's probably one of the best as far as creating like poetic songs. What's a good one?
Do you think Paul Simon would have been canceled if he was 40 years later because he used all the African beats and stuff, and they would have been like, "Stop that"?
No, because actually it was super like SJW of him, because those people were living under apartheid, and he was under a bunch of pressure not to go to Africa to work with them. And he said, "F you, I'm going to." So it was actually he was actually showing solidarity with them.
Yeah. He looks so small, and that's coming from me.
He's super short.
Yeah. So what are the lyrics?
Oh, sorry.
Under the window,
I don't have them memorized off the top of my head.
Which doctor, and he taught me how to be the man with nary a dream. I found the Twilight Master. He gave me the fiery tune.
Hey, Peterson, do you suck at singing, or are you just stingy with your audience?
I'm one of the worst singers I know.
You don't have to sing it. It's poems. It's poems, guys. Guys, this is the poems part of Scott.
Yeah. This is what we know to do when someone drops off. It's the person has to say a poem.
Oh my god.
Oh, man. You're trying to get the audience to like me even less. Oh, he's gonna do poetry. All right, so
I know, it's a trap.
I think I'm not sure. Obvious Child is one of my favorite Paul Simon songs. I don't know if it's my favorite, but
let's hear it.
Toward the end of the song, he talks about the character of the song is called Sonny, and he's old and he's reflecting on his life. And this part's just beautiful. This is how it goes.
I'm ready to receive. Go.
Sonny sits by his window and thinks to himself how it's strange that some rooms are like cages. Sonny's yearbook from high school is down from the shelf, and he idly thumbs through the pages. Some have died. Some have fled from themselves, or struggled from here to get there. Sonny wanders beyond his interior walls, runs his hands through his thinning brown hair. I got goosebumps from that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, dude. You should go to church.
Yeah.
That was your soul. That was your soul.
I'm gonna find some ones that are for Peterson. Okay, how about that?
Sure.
Yeah. Just so you're not wasting time here. Peterson, thank you so much. 5. Hold on, let me get this up on the screen. Sorry, guys. Errol, let's go.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Okay, good. All right, hold on a second.
All right.
All right. Okay. Question. Okay. We're gonna skip closing statements because just because. All right. Rachel says, Peterson, if data showed that aborting Black children reduced crime rates, would you still be in favor of aborting them? Good question.
I'm not in favor of aborting Black children.
No. If it demonstrated to reduce crime rates would be an overall good for society, would you adopt a program for that system? Would you do it?
No.
If it was a positive.
No, because this is like by definition the worst kind of discrimination. You're part of a group that statistically is linked to blank. Therefore, we're going to indiscriminately kill random members of your group because that's what a mandatory sanctioned policy. Well, this isn't like mandated or whatever, but this would be the equivalent of that. This is just like 9/11 happened. All right, well, let's randomly go through the country and just put bullets in random Muslims' heads. No, you don't treat individuals like a statistic. It's just very there's nothing in secular humanism that affirms that.
Okay. Peterson, I literally get nauseous when I'm around Troons people. Why must I put up with the civil rights laws which won't allow me to better my life and remove them so I don't become physically ill?
Because you cannot logically apply the logic, your right or whatever to do that to other people and then turn around and say, but nobody can do this to me. There's no logical pathway to that. So it's literally a contradiction. You can't logically consistently evaluate the value and worth of a person through that. You can't do it.
Okay. Peterson, you stated if all people die naturally, quote, staying within nature, how do people die unnaturally? Accidents, homicides, suicides, drug overdose don't objectively exist. They're definitions. So is there any, essentially, is there any such thing as something that's not a natural death?
You could, this is just a pedantic point. I think that if somebody gets murdered, that's not a natural death. Does
murder happen in nature?
Getting old is part of like the ordinary process of biological things, and so it's just a natural way that things die. So
I'm sorry, hold on. Is murder unnatural?
So I said at the very beginning that this is just a semantic pedantic point. So
that's still not, yeah, I can agree with you, it's semantics, but that's not actually answering the question.
According to Christianity, God created the world. Therefore, every time an abortion happens, it's God's will there. Everything is God. God created the universe. So everything unfolds according to the way God said it would happen. Therefore, all abortions are technically Christian abortions.
No, that would be predeterminism, which we would reject. It'd be a heresy. Anyways, instead of arguing from heresies, why don't you actually just answer the question? Is murder natural, Peterson? Is murder natural?
Buddy, these are these terms. We invent them to describe things in for particular ways and circumstances.
Is one creature killing another creature of its own kind? Is that natural?
It occurs in the universe. That's not what anybody means by a natural death. You're just being pedantic. I'm not entertaining it.
From your view, literally everything that ever happens would be natural.
Yep, occurs in nature, but there are labels we ascribe to different things to describe different situations. When on the coroner's sheet it says heart attack, that's a kind of natural death. When it says murder, that's different. It's not categorized as a natural death. Anybody that can think knows what we're talking about here.
Okay. Peterson, yeah. Can you provide the empirical distinction between knowledge and beliefs? If you appeal to agreements, that necessitates what's in question. Can you, the first part maybe do for us. Do you make a distinction empirically between knowledge and beliefs? Is there any difference there? From your view, can you measure the difference between knowledge and a belief?
I suppose you can. I mean, I think that there are different kinds of belief. So I think in order for something to count as knowledge, there has to be some sort of, I guess, pathway to it. But there are faith-based beliefs. Like somebody can believe in something for literally no reason other than they believe it. So I wouldn't say that's the same thing as knowledge, because we have axiomatic beliefs. We don't know axioms; we just believe them. And I don't know what happened.
Yeah, he's gonna get. We're trying to find your questions here. Let me see. Purely kudos. Okay. To believe in solipsism. Chase says, sorry, let me get these up on the screen. Chase says something about solipsism here. To believe in solipsism literally entails there's only yourself is what exists. Peterson's claim that beliefs require the agreement of others is false. That would be true from a solipsistic view, that agreement is actually an illusion if you argued solipsism, right?
I mean, I 100% disagree with that. I could believe every single other conscious agent in the world is a biological robot, a computer. Mm-hmm. But if my beliefs match theirs, then that's no different than if I punch numbers into a calculator or like we've all checked our math before. You do it in your head. You're like, wait, does 2 + 2 = 4? You put it in the calculator and it says the same kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not agreeing with the conscious agent, but I just understand that there's a logical system that's been built here, and since I agree with it, I have a justification that my belief is likely to be true.
Okay. This guy says, absent an ultimate and personal mind, which would be God under our view, which only makes sense from a Trinitarian, there are no transcendentals like logic. Now, you did admit during this stream, and I've heard you admit during your live streams, that you don't hold that rights exist. There's no ontology of rights, right?
No, I don't think so.
Because they would just be like a conceptual thing that we agree on. Now, I guess the question kind of moves into this, like, is the existence of logic in the same category as rights from your view, and it's just an agreement?
Well, I think logic is just a formal description of the way we do language and reasoning. Because logical statements do nothing other than evaluate the status of propositions. They do nothing other than that. And propositions are things we come up with and do. That's a formalized process of our reasoning. Because even animals do reasoning, but probably very, very, very few of them have language, if any.
Yeah, the reason I asked that because the murder thing came up, and it sounds like from your view, murder would be just as illusory and non-existent as rights. But from the same argument you're making is rights don't exist the way anything else does, but it's some sort of established agreement of a behavior. So murder itself doesn't actually exist. There's just actions in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the theistic worldview could possibly be really any different, because if God says murder's wrong, the claim murder is wrong doesn't exist somewhere else. It comes from God. God didn't get it from somewhere. The Christian can't really believe that, because then it doesn't come from God.
But if it doesn't exist, let's just say it doesn't exist from either view. If someone claims murder is good, it can neither be true that it's bad or good. It would just be whether or not you can sort of like endorse it and make it a thing if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's exactly as arbitrary as God saying there's nothing wrong with murder. The only workaround to this is to claim God is the objective standard. And I would just say, okay, well, according to me, human well-being is the objective standard. Murder violates that. Therefore, by definition, it's wrong. And then people do, yeah, but what ifs with respect to that? And it's like, okay, but what if God told you to do it, which God has done many times? And somehow those just aren't murders, or they're just murders because God said so. So you just arbitrarily, like, you can claim God is your objective standard, but you arbitrarily declared that to be the case for no better reason than anybody else would.
Okay, but if those were on equal playing fields, then it would just be, what would the arbiter for who gets to run society be? Would it just be the gun, I guess?
I think in a way, yeah, but like history tells us that we've tried societies that do authoritarianism in all kinds of ways. There have been kinds of secular authoritarianism. There have been kinds of religious authoritarianism. And I think every single one of them was unstable and miserable. Coming together and using human reason and, affording people religiously, like you can be religious and you can live in a religious society, but the rules that govern it don't claim to come from on high, because when that's your claim, you can justify literally anything. Those are better, more stable societies. So I would just say
it seems like there's like inevitable that you're going to have a religious belief, not to say that you have a God, but that you hold a belief that you can't prove it with empiricism. And so like if you put up two religious views, like for instance, there's the culture of Islam, largely, the numbers show largely that because of their permission for first cousins and even in family, brother and sister to marry and have children, they actually produce lower IQ on net balance overall. And so the question is, well, if that's a part of their religion, even you and I could agree sitting over a beer that we would be okay using our beliefs, mine religious, yours not, to say, well, actually, we don't want certain religious activity like that. We don't want that activity.
Yeah, but those kinds of things happen in quote unquote the Islamic world. But they don't happen in the United States, despite the presence of millions of Muslims. Now, there are probably 10 examples where it has happened. Whatever. There's all kinds of first cousins hooking up in it. There are all kinds of Christian first cousins hooking up too. It unfortunately happens.
It really comes down to like scale. So like, let's say Dearborn, Michigan or something. Like if that grows, it makes sense. If the religion and the population of Islam grows in America, it's fair to say the increased amount of offspring that has a mental problem or some sort of learning disability or something like this because of the incest, if that produces increased amount, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
If that increases less IQ overall, that wouldn't be good for the country from both of our views, right?
No, probably not. But so like ultimately what I'm talking about here is, okay, what would be what would fix the Islamic world? Forcing Christianity upon them, or trying to go through but that's never worked. All that does is cause war. There's no reason that a kind of secular style sort of enlightenment can't happen in any part of the world. That would be what would work. That has the best odds of working, because the Muslims that come here that fare better than they do in Afghanistan or Iran. And that's not because we make them go to Catholic mass. It's because they live in a society that I think espouses secular views and affords them freedoms. And that works very well for them and for Christians too.
Wouldn't you admit that it works until there's enough Muslims that change what you think is a secular society? Like, isn't there just a tipping point with numbers?
But that imagines that they just never assimilate. And we don't have good data that says that. First generation immigrants typically bring the cultural baggage they grew up with them, no matter who they are, regardless of religion. But by the second or third generation, they're just fully immersed in the dominant surrounding culture.
Pure consumerism. Yeah. Peterson already stated that it requires reasoning to get to the belief that Christian is true and to choose to believe in it. Therefore, the 30 Years' War was reasoned. Right. Yeah, that was actually an interesting part. Like, you can reason a war. Like, you can use logic and reasoning to justify a war, can't you?
You can give reasons for it. Yeah. I mean, if you're being invaded, then it's perfectly rational and reasonable to declare war against your enemy to defend yourself.
What about offense from the secular view? Because obviously there's peripheral countries in U.S. history where they didn't attack us, but we had an obligation to stop them and what they were doing.
Oh, I think the vast majority of those have been CIA propaganda campaigns.
Could be.
So, I mean, like literally the one we're currently in, it's just a mountain of absolute bullshit and lies. So I can imagine a just, what do you call it? Preemptive strike. But we're obviously currently not experiencing. I think the vast majority of those in history have been total disasters or lies, etc.
Okay. Tony, do you have any questions for either of the participants? I'm looking for more. There's just a lot of I'll go through them after the people leave. We'll hang out a little bit. I just wanted to go through some of the attacks. Fallacy by Peterson: opposing one form of reproduction does not necessitate antinatalism. I actually wanted to ask you this, given your reasoning against stillborn for this, is being against rape as a form of reproduction, would that be antinatalist?
I asked him that. He said no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I didn't have Steelborn didn't send me his talking points before this debate, and I didn't send him mine. was going off the top of my head. I'm going to have to sit down and think about this. Maybe I'm being fallacious. I don't know. It's too, I have to completely.
It seems like it's special pleading because like you're basically saying that it's antinatalist to not want the homos to buy the baby. But that's antinatalist, but not wanting babies to be conceived and raped, that's not antinatalist. I don't see what the logical distinction between the two of them would be, other than just a form of reproduction that's outside the marital act, from my view. So you're the one. It seems like you're special pleading by saying one of them is antinatalist and the other one's not.
Yeah, I mean, my intuition about that is, I think to actually say that, I think to make that case, I feel like you'd have to justify that just being gay and having a surrogate mother is morally equivalent to being a rapist, and I don't think that that's the case at all. Or you'd have to say the act of outside sex conception.
Okay, fine. I'll give you another
is
example.
always morally equal, whether it's rape or not. Which I don't. That would be pretty.
Well, like, let me ask you.
Strange.
So, like, I also oppose people having children outside of wedlock. Like, I think that's bad. They ought not do that, right?
Yeah.
Is that antinatalist?
No, not necessarily.
Then why would opposing the homos? Because that would definitely be outside of wedlock. How would that be antinatalist then, by that standard?
I would have to sit down and think about this. I can't think unless I have like literally zero noises or anything going on. I'd have to type it out, think about it. It's fine if I'm wrong. If I was fallacious, then L. Peterson.
L. Peterson. He said it. L. Peterson.
Clip it.
Great? Clip it, ship it. Isn't it great that atheists steal our morals, deny where they come from? Let me ask a question on this in a different way from Prozilch to you, Peterson. If a group of secularists who shared exactly your model of just like descriptive things you prefer about society, if they were to adopt a Christian system but didn't believe in any of this stuff, how could you argue against them? But they're still secularists because they don't believe in any of it, but they just want to adopt the maybe more leaning authoritarian perspective of a Christian ethical system. But their reasoning isn't belief in God. It's just they prefer it. How can a secularist argue against that?
So, like, if a group of secularists God damn it, he left it, got dropped again. If a group of secularists sat around and looked at, for example, the 10 Commandments, and they said, well, look, the ones that violate religious liberty, forget about it. But we're gonna have a society where don't murder is one of our beliefs or laws. Perjury is illegal, and like the other good ideas. There's nothing wrong with that, and that doesn't magically start making it not secular or not Christian, because it's not like Christianity owns the idea that murder is bad. if you raised a bunch of people on an island and never gave them exposure to the outside world, almost certainly they would be able to reason that murder is basically intolerable. And that's because every single society around the world has formed that view. So,
okay. What does wrong mean to you? To you personally?
Me? I guess anything that violates what I would consider perhaps like natural rights and freedom and liberty and stuff like that.
Okay. Planet P, would you use CRISPR to edit the human genome to remove all low IQ genes from the gene pool? If not, why? Isn't that evolution? Two separate questions.
I don't know. I mean, I don't see why you would need to, because if we're going to see, I wouldn't do this because it's obviously sort of a slippery slope. So it's like, well, we're gonna edit all below one standard deviation IQs or whatever. It's like, okay, well, tell me why we shouldn't then just arbitrarily crank up the IQs up as high as they can go. It's like what's low? low is just whatever the lowest happens to be. So once you edit out all the below whatever 80s, well, now we have the below 100s. Well, why not get rid of those? It's just this never-ending escalation that I don't think you could ever actually pragmatically hope would ever work, so no. And that wouldn't be evolution. That would be artificial, a very weird kind of artificial selection.
Wait, but that's part of the natural thing because we're part of the natural thing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is just the pedantic point before, like, if something occurs in the universe, then it's natural. It's like, that's not how anybody really uses those labels.
But that's true. I don't want to do this because we're not debating you. I'm sorry, but it doesn't make sense. We're not debating you.
No, the debate's over. This is just crosstalk. This is normal. Like we can.
It just doesn't make sense. If you're an evolutionist and you believe everything evolves naturally, then all of this is part of that natural evolution. So how do you disqualify things arbitrarily?
I'm really sorry. I kind of spaced out. What am I like? How am I determining what's natural and what isn't?
Yeah.
Well, essentially what all of the quote unquote unnatural things have in common is they're products of us manipulating the environment beyond what it would produce without our intervention. So plastic is not natural, even though it's made of atoms that exist in the universe. That's the general framework.
Okay, but it's just kind of like putting a line there, and arbitrarily you're saying that this becomes unnatural now, when if it's all just part of the same process, then there's no reason to say that it's not natural as well.
I mean, it has a natural cause, but the way we distinguish it from natural versus quote unquote unnatural, I mean, that's just the framework. I mean, I think that there are different, I think that I'm a different person than you, but we're both humans. So there's men and then there's women. Well, but wait, we're all humans. So there's actually no such thing as man or woman. It's actually just human. Well, no, we make a distinction based on certain characteristics. So,
next question here is, hold on a second. Sorry. Wrong. CRISPR. Sorry. Okay. Rachel asked, now abortion is murder. This is back when you're going back and forth about it. And you retract your claim that if metrics of well-being go up, then it justifies it based.
I never said abortion was murder. I was making a comparison to, if you indiscriminately just start killing people, that I probably used murder or whatever. But no, people that are pro-choice, we don't go around saying, look, the abortion numbers are too low. We want to get them up. We don't want anybody to ever have to make the choice. Ideally, nobody would be pregnant unless they wanted to be pregnant, which is what the idea behind, contraception and family planning is all about.
Okay. PB's super good sport. I think he made good arguments, but I still disagree with him. No Christian gulag for you this time around. Okay.
Yeah. Steelborn's in the back room, but
okay. He's
I mean, like Steelborn was pretty. I mean, I think he has some pretty gross views about certain people in the world. I don't really appreciate that. And when he pretends to be the secularist, he talks with a gay lisp, which is just code for being gay is bad, being atheist is bad. Therefore, if you're an atheist, you're gay. And I know on his stream, it's an AI picture of me with a bunch of lesbians in the background. And it's like, if atheist, then gay and bad. I was like, whatever, 0 out of 10 rage bait, if you ask me. But the debate, I don't know, didn't fly off the handles. I didn't think he was really bad faith or anything like that. The point of the thumbnail
was, this is the society that you build versus the society that we want. That was the point of the thumbnail.
Your thumbnail had crusaders in it, so you want to kill all Muslims?
I thought didn't I update the? Oh, I didn't update it. Damn it! I replaced the background on my side with the nuclear family.
Oh.
Are you like a big Muslim fan, Planet P?
I don't really. I don't have favorites or anything like that.
Huh?
I don't have favorites or anything like that. I think the Islamic world desperately needs a Renaissance and an Enlightenment. You know, during the 1200s, well, from about the year 1000 to about the year 1200, 1300, the Islamic world was prolific. They're the ones that actually copied and translated and preserved most of the ancient Greek manuscripts that later were then retranslated by Europeans into Latin and other languages that allowed the Renaissance, that desperately helped the Renaissance take place, and science and all kinds of other things that we take for granted flourished first in the Islamic world, and then I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be a world historian that can tell you why things went so poorly for the Islamic world. But no, yeah, they desperately need a Renaissance and an Enlightenment.
Huh.
You think just because I'm a lefty, I'm going to say, if you criticize Muslims, you're bad. Nope.
Yeah, I just figure logically, you know, if you have a worldview that allows you to rape, kill, destroy anyone that disagrees with you, that even if you're just a atheist, you would say, yeah, that worldview is incorrect and I don't support it.
If a Christian was convinced God told them to do it, then
no,
to the
there's
Christian,
a huge difference
valid.
between whether or not it's in the holy books. This is part of Sharia law. In Christianity, there's no such
100% rape in the Old Testament.
That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Christian society. Christian society is based on the foundational teachings of the Orthodox Church, and it doesn't support anything like that. Whereas Islam,
well, your God does,
and
though.
Continues to. My God does, but regardless of your
interpretation in the Bible
of what God does in the Old Testament, it's completely irrelevant. You're an outsider of the Orthodox. You're an outsider of the Orthodox Church telling us what God is saying, and you actually have no clue what God means when He does the things He does. What I'm saying is we have
it's very plain.
We have a measurable understanding of what the Muslims are doing. We see it firsthand. We've seen it for 1,000 years. So
yeah, I'm against it too. But
of Muslims, it's like I'm just simply asking, like, do you see them come into other people's countries, rape, kill, destroy, and justify it all based on their belief system and say, now these are good people? Or do you realize that even regardless of what your worldview is, if it's not Islamic, then you recognize that Islam itself is a problem?
So I sort of did, I'll just go to the very last point. I mostly disagree that this is somehow like fundamentally at its core an Islamic thing, because Muslims in the United States are not overrepresented as rapists or anything like that.
Yeah, because they're not overrepresented. This has happened time and time again. First, they come in small numbers and they talk peace, and then once their numbers get big, they talk war. This happens over and over again. We've seen it continuously. We have 1,000 years of documented history to prove it. So why would you just throw that out the window for some, I don't know, like hyper liberal take?
What did Christians coming to the New World in the Age of Exploration do to the people that lived here? Exterminated, enslaved, and raped them. So,
regardless of maybe Catholics and Protestants did certain things, but the fact of the matter is none of it was based in the books themselves or in the
according to them it was
church. Yeah, but that's not Christianity.
So thus saith you.
No, but what I'm saying
is the Muslims aren't being Islam. Then all the Muslims that are doing bad things aren't real Muslims.
Muslim that's serious about Islam understands that jihad is part of it. It's in fact, if you're not into jihad, you're kind of a fake Muslim.
thus saith you. I don't know.
No, thus saith the books. Thus saith Muhammad himself with his dying breath.
As you, an Orthodox who has no idea what the book actually says, you can't make that distinction. Remember when you said I'm not allowed to interpret the Bible? You're not allowed to interpret Islam. You have no idea what Islam means.
I can interpret Islam all I want.
No, you can't. No, you can't. You're not a Muslim. You have no idea.
What they do. I've seen exactly what they do.
Well, then I can interpret your Bible, but you told me I'm not allowed to do that 5 minutes ago.
Yo, you're claiming ignorance. That's your defense right now. Is I don't believe
is identical to yours.
I'm telling you, this is part of Islam. You can sit here and say
no. They're not. Those aren't real Muslims. The ones that do that, they're not real Muslims.
The real Muslims are the nice ones that don't do it, not the 1,000 years.
Just like the real Christians are the nice ones, according to you.
Well, there's not a bunch of schisms. You have Sunni and Shiite, and that's it. And most of the things you're applying to the Shiite Muslims. Actually, you're saying because these guys over here in Iran that we're currently bombing don't believe it. That's what it isn't, or that's what they're a representation of what it is. When in fact, the Sunni Muslims who believe this wholeheartedly because they interpret their text correctly are running rampant across.
You don't know how to interpret their texts. You're not one of them.
I can listen to them interpret their text. Have you bothered?
And I can listen to.
Have you bothered?
I can look at the historical record and look at the way Christians have interpreted their Bible to justify crusades and murders and rapes and slavery and all kinds of things.
Don't do the whataboutism. Have you bothered listening to them interpret their own text because they'll say it to your face?
You know how, like, literally 5 minutes ago, I said the Islamic world is in desperate need of an enlightenment and a renaissance. All I'm doing is throwing your logic back at you. I'm not actually a Muslim apologist.
Hey, I just want to read a text Tony sent me about 3 minutes ago. Jimmy, why are you debating him? This isn't your debate. This isn't fair to PP.
Yeah, I didn't prepare for this, Jim Bob. I got like 5 more minutes.
Oh yeah, 5 minutes is plenty. Maybe if there's no more.
Square, I don't belong here. This is my world.
That's funny.
Hey, it says that he's stillborn. He's lying. He's bearing false witness right now.
That was great. That's like that could be a new thing where someone leaves and one of us have to go into the square. So that's fine with me.
I hope you don't feel like you were like we did the old switcheroo. I was really thinking that we shouldn't be involved at all, but then you guys seem to be okay with it. So
it was all candid. I consented. There was implied consent involved.
Yeah. Fire. Oh yeah, one more fire on Tony. You got a lot of fires though, Tony. So that was a good. When you get all upset and yell at
when you're based in the truth.
Yeah. Well, the suspenders too. So,
do you do like a poll, Jim Bob, like for the debate or anything?
Oh, we should do a poll.
I actually didn't. I have my chat, this plugin where I can't do a poll on it.
You want me to do one?
Yeah. If you can do it. Well, no, it's on my channel. Hold on. Let me try it. Let me try it from my phone. Hold on a second. Poll. Yeah, let's do that.
My expectations are like rock bottom, but it would be interesting.
Your audience is probably stacked against you. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
I didn't tell anybody that I was gonna like be here, so there are like no Peterson stands here, I would imagine.
Megan, you might have to do it. Meg Bob, can you do a poll? Who won? Just a simple one or the other. I can't.
How did Steelborn do? I honestly kind of fade out during debates.
Well, I don't. The arguments wise, like they're all familiar arguments. You guys were kind of not very aggressive with each other, I think generally, which is like, I don't know. It's refreshing to some people, but at some point I'm like, can you guys bite each other's heads off just a tiny bit? Like, but whatever.
I mean, he believes in a kind of Christian nationalism that's more just like bottom up. The culture is composed of Christians. I mean, we didn't get into if he wants to repeal the 19th Amendment. Wait, what the hell? Is that the right word?
19th? Yeah.
Yeah. If he wants to get rid of it or anything like that, he seemed to think that the Constitution actually is secular, not divinely inspired. And he didn't seem to really want to get rid of it. So, I mean, there are some Christian nationalists that I think are just basically fascists, and he doesn't see. I mean, I disagree with a lot of stuff he said, but he doesn't seem to be in that avenue. So, you know, I actually had to spend a long time just trying to understand where the hell he's actually coming from a lot of the stuff he said we should do or whatever. But
I appreciate that, Peterson, but I was asking Jimmy. You're his opponent. I can't ask you how he did.
You asked me how he did? I did. He did all right.
I mean, it's like, I don't think he did that good.
Steelborn seemed, I think he did okay. I think he was like a distracted or something, or like a lot going on. I don't know if he carried a
circuit breaker keeps shutting off. I don't know. Maybe he's working off of solar energy. He might be doing the thing, you know. He might be like making those real moves towards it was
a good start though, because I didn't want to pull up like the super, any super well-known debaters when we're getting our tech, going. No offense to anyone here. I mean, I think we're all in similar tiers. So it's just a good practice round for the tech
Tears
itself.
Of crying. So.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there it is. Okay. The poll's up. Anyway, so we're going to do more debates. Obviously, we'll tackle evolution. We'll tackle all sorts of things, even silly ones. Like we might tackle whether the dark side was actually the good guys. That they kept the order and the other people were just.
Was Thanos right?
We got a big one, Jimmy.
What?
Say the big one.
I don't know what it is. Oh yeah. Whether or not there is a pedophilic Jewish cabal running everything, I think it might make it on YouTube. What do you guys think?
That's a good debate. We should just get down to the nitty gritty, get down to the brass tacks.
I mean,
let's stop talking around the issues and let's just start talking about them.
As long as it's presented in a sort of whimsical way, I think it'll be fine.
I can do like one last question if there was one.
Let me see if there is. Okay.
I haven't eaten dinner. Except those 3 donuts. That doesn't count.
That's not it. Tony's greatest debater of our generation. There are hadiths on this from Islamic scholars who did the interpreting. Steelborn isn't imposing his own interpretation of the Quran. By Steelborn, he means Tony. That's actually a really interesting topic when it gets down to it, because I think the distinction, and I'll let you go, is like, if you took an orthodox position, you'd press against a lot of like the Zionist wild dispensationalist takes about war and all that.
Yeah, a lot of your moves are based on the ambiguity, based on an ambiguity of what Christianity is, and I understand that as an outsider.
Yeah, but if you reverse it on Islam, you'll be in the minority of the normative view if you don't hold an aggression position, and so it's reversed for Christianity and Islam, and so we're looking at it from this perspective. Like Dearborn, Michigan, is a microcosm of the next 100 years. And
can you change it to Tony? Sorry.
What?
If I'm going to be in here. Sorry.
What?
Nothing. Go on. I'm so
sorry. There you go. So, anything else from you before we let you go here, Eric?
What is this Dearborn? What is this Dearborn, Michigan thing? Because I just Googled and it says that they're on a multi-year decline in major crime.
Well, that's probably that's actually probably true. That's the entailment of upheld tradition. So if it were the case that Christianity taking over societies the way Muslims do, if it declined in crime, would you choose either? Would you say, okay, more Christianity or more Islam? Would you choose both if that were the case? Less crime, good?
But Dearborn, Michigan is a major immigration site for Muslims, and yet despite that, the crime rate is going down.
I know.
Yeah, this goes to what I was saying earlier. When the numbers are low, it's all peace and we're all one and this and the other thing. But once the numbers are high, it's Britain, France, Germany, Spain.
But the data disproves the slippery slope boogeyman that you're setting
up.
No,
the data proves exactly what I just said.
Tony, hold on, Tony.
The crime rate is going down while Muslim immigration is increasing.
Okay. I know, but hold on.
Exactly what I said.
Hold on.
No, you have a negative correlation, but you're arguing for positive correlation.
No, I said that when the numbers are low, they come in peacefully, and once they get their numbers up, then they start doing the other stuff.
You guys are missing a distinction.
I get what you're trying to say there.
Europe.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm accomplishing it.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. The reason why crime is low in a highly populated Muslim area is because they're all Muslim. They don't commit crimes against each other. What Tony is saying is we don't know. What we know from other statistic is once the population increases, you're going to have a decreased crime against fellow Muslims. But once they reach a critical mass, what we've seen is that then they start imposing their will on people once they reach a majority. The idea that Muslims increasing in population, there's a decrease in crime makes sense if they're all Muslim. That would be true of Christians. If Christians took over an adjacent city to the same extent, there would be a decrease in crime in that area as well, which, by the way, if we're just looking at crime as a metric for what better governs society, now you have two traditional rigid religious views that demonstrate a sharp decline in crime, at least. So that would be a positive, right? At least could you concede that at least that's a positive in the short term for both systems that are religious versus non-religious?
I was looking up some stuff, and so like the latter part of that I kind of spaced out on, but I heard, and I totally understand your point. The crime rate remains low as they build up, but then once they become the majority, like I get what you're trying to say, but from what I can see here, Dearborn has been a majority Muslim population since at least 2023, but maybe 2022. And in the time since then, the crime rate has gone down.
Yeah.
So
they're all Muslim.
Years. We have 1,000 years.
They're the majority now. So you would expect it to start going up, but it hasn't started it hasn't even started to go up.
No, we wouldn't say that crime is going to go up among their own people. We'd say something more fundamental would happen, even beyond crime, which is a culture takes over and the norm for behavior against non-Muslims will go up.
Are you?
I mean, okay, but this country
there's endless examples.
Yes, but what happened? What happened 1,000 years ago, or 500 years ago, or 300 years ago,
or right now?
Buddy, let me talk.
Or right now in Britain, or
that
right
doesn't
now
mean
in France. Or right now in Germany.
It says France.
You have to compare like situations to like situations. This country
could be more like than a European country being overrun by Muslims who rape their children and kill them in the streets.
You think that the Moors in the Iberian Peninsula is equivalent to the world of today? It isn't.
Right now, I'm talking about right now.
I know that. That's why I said the world today. I'm gonna have to leave on this because I should have left 5 minutes ago. But this country has had hundreds of years of immigration from people in all kinds of parts of the world that were in constant war, civil war, whatever. And yet when they move here, they don't import that violence. Like, for example, Irish Catholics and Protestants living in the UK, right? Horrendous atrocities and terrorist attacks occurred there. And then we had all this Irish immigration in this country. And did suicide bombing go up in this country despite all these scary people from the terrorist attack place? No, because we have a secular, powerful system that I think works incredibly well. So we're just going to have to leave it there.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm being as fair and charitable as I can with that. But
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, no, more than enough time. Thank you.
Get a free book, 2 free audiobooks, and ad-free videos by becoming a Patreon member.